think there's probably two sessions that stand out that I think could do a great job of straddling either the small business owner or the large business owner. And one of those is...
This is the PMP Industry Insider Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome out to another episode of the PMP Industry Insider Podcast, where we take a look at what is changing in the industry, and we take you to the front lines to those that are driving those changes. As always, I'm Donnie Shelton, owner of Triangle Home Services, as well as Triangle Pest and Triangle Lawn. With me is the ever-present, always joking, dashingly handsome. I don't know what else to give you, Dan, but it's going to cost a lot of money. If I
think you're about halfway there, but
about halfway there, Mr. Dan Gore. Dan, say okay. So let's just do this here. It's you, it's your company, it's the topic, and it's our awesome guest, and I think it's our sponsors. So let's do that.
Okay, so let's talk about me. It's Dan Gordon. Hello, PCO Bookkeepers, PCO M&A specialists, sponsors. Coalmarch by WorkWave. If you need digital marketing, coalmarch.com, visit them. PestSure, for those who need insurance specific to the pest control industry, visit them at pestsure.com. And you may have heard the news that we've expanded our PMP industry offerings to peer groups in partnership with an industry veteran, David Billingsley. To learn more, go back and listen to episode 136 or visit pmpindustryinsider.com/peer groups. And today we have a special guest, and we are talking about what industry members, and I guess anybody else who are going to visit PestWorld 2022, which is taking place in Honolulu.
Oh, Dan, you were doing so great. You were there.
What did I do?
Okay, so it's 2023. Just FYI, it's not 2022. Yeah. So you're just
shoot.
Let's just move it up a year.
I'm living in the past, man. I'm living in the past. All right.
Hey, 2020 did a number on everybody. Let's give them a break.
So you want to hear something funny? This is all written out for me, and it says October 17th-20, but it doesn't have the years. So the only thing that I didn't read, I screwed up. So,
but it's up.
Okay.
But it's up. But hang on, for just I'm going to defend a little bit here. What you can expect from PestWorld, it actually says 2023 for the record.
But today, man, it says PestWorld 2023. Taking place in Honolulu, October 17th.
Let's introduce our guest and get into the topic. Yes.
So there we go. All right. So anyway, let's introduce our guest. Our guest is Dr. Michael Bentley, who I've known for quite a while. He's the Vice President of Training and Technical Services for NPMA and also serves as Executive Director of the Pest Management Foundation. He's a board-certified entomologist who holds a PhD in urban entomology from the University of Florida. Prior to earning his doctorate, Mike spent 5 years working in the pest management industry, where he held multiple technical and operational roles for a nationwide pest control company. Hey, Michael, welcome.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on. And wow, that was a great introduction. Can I pay you guys to come introduce
Donnie,
me?
are you hearing?
Everywhere?
Yep.
My speaker.
Yeah, so it looks like Dan lost his thing, but Mike, it's thanks for jumping on, and it's great to have you on. And we've been watching the work that you guys have been doing. It's been great. We thought it'd be just a fun episode to talk a little bit about what's going on at PestWorld in Honolulu, what you guys have been up to, and really kind of what you've been focused on. But before we get into that,
Hey, Donnie, I'm back.
Okay,
I
great.
had some technical.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep.
All right.
Just before we get to the podcast, one of the things that we wanted to talk about is we're recording this in on September 13th, and we just got the news. We'd really like to express our condolences to the family of Bob Rosenburg and those in the pest management community who knew and respected him. I know for me personally, Bob was hilarious. I knew him as I was growing up in the industry. I could tell several stories about, I just remember every time I was around him, he was just so, he had such a magnetism about him, and I would just laugh because some of the things that he would say and do, but he was a huge, huge influence in the industry and an influence for good. And, Dan and Mike, I don't know what you guys, if you have any stories or anything you want to share about Bob, but we certainly here in the podcast, we absolutely want to express our condolences. He was a huge positive impact on our industry. And we just want to recognize that. Dan or Mike, you guys?
I know that I leaned on him quite a bit as I was growing up in the industry, and he was a really good guy and always, willing to take a call, have answers, and that was pretty cool. But Mike, what any fond stories that you have about Bob?
Yeah, sure. I mean, first off, I mean, I appreciate you guys taking the time to speak about this. It was certainly really tough news for us as a team and as an organization. The NPMA staff, I mean, we're all like a big family, and I was incredibly fortunate enough to have overlapped with Bob. In fact, Bob was part of the original group that interviewed me for this job. And much like you guys have said, he's an energetic guy. He's charismatic. He could hold the attention of a room, and he could be the most polished and professional guy, but he could be so casual and down to earth at the same time. And we meet. We have a formal meeting and formal discussion, and then followed the next day by the way that we hold our interviews for our technical team is you have to come in and give a talk to the entire event, to the entire staff here, and so he comes and picks me up, and I'm waiting in the hotel, and I've got my suit on, and I'm polished and ready to go. And this guy shows up out of breath and just completely sweaty in gym clothes. And he's like, "All right, let's go." And it doesn't really introduce himself to me or anything. And I mean, we just spent the day before hanging out. So I was like, "I think that's Bob." And I blindly get in the back seat of this car, and there's gym clothes in the back, 2 big duffel bags. And for anybody that has not had the luxury or pleasure of driving around in Washington, D.C., it is an incredibly defensive driving area. So a lot of stop and go traffic, a lot of having to kind of navigate through traffic, and a little bit faster pace than maybe what I was used to from where I was moving from, this little college town. And so we're kind of... nobody's breaking the law. I want a disclaimer: nobody's breaking the law, but we're going pretty fast, and we're cutting through traffic. And I haven't really gotten a good look at either of the people sitting in the front seat. They're both sweaty in gym clothes, and I'm looking at these 2 gym bags next to me, thinking, did I just get in the back seat of a car that's maybe part of like a bank heist or something? Where are we going here? And sure enough, we show up to the office, and and just in true Bob fashion, just jokes the whole time. And it just made you feel so comfortable. And I mean, he could carry that same weight and magnetism, and jumping in the car when you're in a suit and he's sweaty in gym clothes, to him coming in a suit himself and holding court in front of regulators and other industry folks. And it was incredible to have had the opportunity to work alongside him. It's amazing to see the impact that he's had on the industry, and it's certainly understated to say that he is going to be truly, truly missed. We're still trying to adjust to the news, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, our condolences to his family, to the NPMA community. Just a terrific guy. So anyway, all right. So before we jump into the preview of PestWorld, wanted to briefly discuss NPMA, areas you're working on, talk about some of the initiatives, legislative, PR, member benefits, et cetera, et cetera. So talk about some of that.
Sure. So probably the place that I would want to start with the most, and the thing that I'm most excited about personally, is our technical team. One of our primary roles and focuses on helping to develop technical tools and resources to help train the industry. And our team has been incredibly busy over the last year. We've developed a new line of educational pest posters, which each one of our posters focuses on a specific pest group, provides identification information, range, and control information for a number of different common pests found within those pest groups. We've had this series available for probably the last 15 or 20 years. So it was due for an upgrade and a facelift. And we just launched it about 9 months ago now. A completely new poster series that includes a total of 15 posters. So that would be 3 more than our former series of 12. So we've got 3 new pest groups, including ticks, which is our fastest growing arthropod disease vector in the United States, and some other great pest groups. So really excited to see the launch of that. It's one of those things that when we watch anytime we see shows that a pest control company is featured on, oftentimes it's really cool to see in the background the pest posters that are hanging on their walls. So it's been a staple of the industry for a long time. And to see the new version of this come out has been pretty exciting. Another big focus from our team has been developing new online training tools and resources, certainly with everybody fully embracing virtual training and distance education. Understanding that's an important asset and resource for the industry. So our team has been hard at work developing a number of new online training courses, most of those being focused on specific pest groups. But essentially, the goal is that we're going to be developing an entire new lineup of courses that are going to be bundled together to provide a new training course focused on associate certified entomologist certification. So it'd be an ACE training bundle. So cool. It's fantastic certification available through the ESA and the industry. And we have an older version of that training, the outline now. But this new course setup is going to add some new pest groups to that and make a more well-rounded online training program. So really excited about that.
Well, I can tell you at Triangle, we're big fans of the ACE program. I feel like it does a lot for the folks who go through it, and they get a lot out of it. So it's exciting to hear. And if there's one soundbite I just heard you say was that ticks are the fastest growing. It's just our editors. That's a great soundbite because I'm a marketing guy, and I just think when you said it, I'm like, oh, that's a great soundbite.
Well, it's insane. I mean, with Lyme disease and and we'll talk about invasive species here shortly, but there's some new tick species that have been introduced in the United States that we've found in the last few years. And, we're constantly learning new things about new pests that we're dealing with now, as well as pests that have been around for a long time, like German cockroaches and those sorts of things. And that's a great thing about the industry, right? Is nothing stays the same. We're constantly developing, evolving. We're learning new information, learning more about the pests that we're dealing with and the tools to help control them. But yeah, ticks are one of those things that it's pretty terrifying. I mean, when you look at the long list of diseases that ticks can spread, I mean, to me as a carnivore, as a meat eater, alpha-gal syndrome, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. That one is it's constantly in the back of my mind. I spend a lot of time outdoors with my wife and our dogs. We're always hiking, and I know some folks that have had this that have gotten alpha-gal syndrome. Essentially, what it is your body develops an allergy to proteins in meat, so red meat, based on a response, an allergy response you get from being bit by a tick. So, and there's no cure for it right now. So,
oh boy.
Wow. All right. Well, let's get into that now. I want to transition a little bit because we have PestWorld 2023. We have PestWorld 2023 coming up, and it's exciting. It's going to be in Hawaii. The dates looks like everything's going to be kicking off. It looks like around Monday, October 16th, and then it rolls the whole week. Just kind of a typical PestWorld. But wanted to talk with you, Mike, a little bit about just can you give us a little bit overview of the educational sessions that you guys have lined up for this year, and kind of if the PCOs, obviously, I think most of them will be jet lagged. We do have some PCOs that are in Hawaii, but I think the vast majority are here on the mainland. Just what to expect besides waking up stupid early and going to bed really early, and what they can expect as far as attending the show in terms of education.
Yeah, sure. So, this is our favorite time of year. We spend all year long putting this program together, and there's a lot of thought and consideration that goes into it. And a lot of that is focused on where we hold PestWorld. So for those folks that may not be familiar with our PestWorld conference, it's an annual global event. We've got folks from all over the world that come in to attend, and it moves locations every single year. And our meetings team plans out where those locations are going to be 10 years in advance. Our technical team plans that program over a year in advance. I was just speaking with you guys earlier saying, we're right on the heels of we're soon going to be starting to plan our PestWorld 2024 program here shortly after PestWorld 2023 ends. So this is for us the most exciting time of year because we finally get to see that program planning come to fruition. But for folks, what they can expect, we've got over 50 different educational sessions on the program. The way that our program is broken down is it starts on Wednesday, our technical programming anyway, our educational programs. They start on Wednesday and they end on Friday. One of probably the biggest changes for this year that folks can expect, you guys mentioned that folks are going to be probably pretty jet lagged. The majority of our attendees at this conference are going to be coming in with a 3 to 6 hour time change. We plan for that. So usually our programming starts around 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday and goes till 5:30 to 6 o'clock Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday it ends a little bit sooner. Well, this year, one of the big changes is that we're going to have our programming. Our first session kicks off at 9:30 in the morning on Wednesday. So we'll have, so we're taking advantage of what we expect everybody to be early risers, whether they plan on it or not. So, especially that Wednesday and Thursday. So sessions are going to start earlier. They're also going to end earlier. We understand that we're in a really unique place, right? We're in Honolulu, Hawaii. It's beautiful there. We have an amazing lineup of additional receptions. There's all sorts of amazing events and things that we'll talk about here shortly that we want to make sure folks have time for. So that educational sessions, those are going to start off a little bit earlier this year than normal. I mentioned that we're in Honolulu, Hawaii. When we put together the program, we take into consideration where we're going to be at. And from an entomologist perspective, Hawaii is a really unique place. It's an island system. And it's difficult from a pest management perspective to talk about island systems without also talking about invasive species. So invasive species management, particularly in these contained island ecosystems that are particularly vulnerable to non-native species introduction, it's a really important topic. And so some of the world's leading researchers on invasive species management are found in places like University of Hawaii. They've got some amazing research groups that work out of Hawaii. So we're going to take advantage of that. So the nice thing about our programming is we've got an amazing lineup of technical as well as business sessions. From the technical side, we're certainly going to, you'll notice that we're going to highlight and underscore quite a few sessions that touch on invasive species management. Folks from the University of Hawaii that are going to be talking about some really exciting new research with hydrogels that are used for ant management. And then we've also got some other sessions to highlight some really incredible things. One of those sessions is from Dr. Faith Oy out of the University of Florida. And her session is going to mostly focus on the important role that pest management professionals actually play in identification and essentially being a first line of defense for invasive species management. Pest management professionals are in the field all day, every single day, 7 days a week. And one of the most important steps to managing an invasive species is noting when it first is introduced. So pest management professionals have a unique opportunity to identify something that may be out of the ordinary in their area and really play an important role in that. So our session is going to focus on that. But, like I mentioned, we've got technical sessions, but we also have a huge, huge number of incredible business development sessions as well. One of those sessions this year, taking advantage of where we're at, is it's a panel session. It's called Building Brand, Culture, and Legacy, Building More Than Just a Pest Control Business. And this one I think is particularly unique in that it's bringing together 3 global business leaders that are going to each talk about some really unique aspects of their businesses. Essentially, all 3 of these different companies have kind of changed the way that we think of a traditional pest control service business or a supplier business for the industry. One company, its name has become synonymous with sanitation. It's one of the largest pest control businesses in all of Asia. And their name is synonymous with sanitation and public health protection. We've got another company who has completely reimagined what employee investment and employee satisfaction really is, and found a unique way to not only invest in their employees, but ensure that their employees are invested back in the company. And then we've got another company that's also based out of Japan that has taken it's a generational business that they've taken a unique approach to expanding what was originally a smaller company located in Japan and making it a worldwide international business and finding some really unique success and reimagining how their company's culture could take advantage of that. So pretty exciting stuff. In terms of variety, I think that it's hard to find a more robust lineup of technical and business sessions out there. And I know I can't wait to sit in on a couple of these sessions. That's for sure.
So from your perspective, I know you're into the scientific end of it, but I guess in the past, what has been the biggest drawers? Has it been the technical sessions? Has it been the business sessions? And what do you expect to be the biggest drawer this year as far as sessions go?
That's a hard question. There's always, I'll say it's pretty evenly split. We'll always have a couple technical sessions, and we try to gauge what that's going to be. Not every room can seat 1,000 people, right? And we have thousands of folks that show up to this event. The entomologist in me wants to say that every technical session is going to pack the house. Yep. But the way that our educational programming works is we've got 6 concurrent sessions that take place over 3 separate 1-hour blocks. So everybody can't be everywhere all at once. I think this year, if I had to guess, and this isn't playing favorites, disclaimer, I think they're all awesome. I can't wait to see all of them. But there's probably 2 that I would expect to have a very big draw this year. And one of them is it's going to be a regulatory panel update on the state of rodenticide regulations in the United States. I think that's going to be a particularly big draw for folks. It's an issue that impacts pest control industries across North America and around the world. There's currently some regulatory changes that are on the cusp of taking effect right now, and I think folks are really eager to hear what those changes are, and to kind of understand how, as a business, we need to prepare for that, and as an industry, prepare for that. So I expect that session to be particularly busy. Another session is a series of tandem sessions that we call thought leader sessions. And these thought leader sessions are typically 2 sessions kind of swished together. So they're going to be back-to-back sessions. And oftentimes it'll feature some keynote speakers that cover a topic or a series of topics over 2 different educational blocks that run consecutively. And this year, one of those thought leader sessions is a panel of folks that are going to talk about how artificial intelligence and tools like ChatGPT are changing the way they do business and are ultimately in forecasting the way they believe it will impact our industry. I've had the fortune of hearing some of the thought processes that go into this, and maybe some early discussions about how the session is going to go. And it is wild to hear how some of these tools are being utilized. And I think that folks, because it's such a new technology, that I think a lot of us are having a hard time wrapping our head around really what this is going to do for us.
That could be technical. That could be technical or business. Which do you have it under? What bucket is it?
Yeah, it's great. We have it right now as a business session. Mm-hmm. So it's technically falls under the business side of things. But I think that you're right. And you're going to hear them talk about how things like artificial intelligence could absolutely impact things on the technical side of your business as well. I mean, as we start to get into the world of more these remote sensor devices and things, the amount of data that we can collect that can be used for forecasting and everything else, it's mind-blowing, right? It's pretty impressive. So I think it's going to be a particularly interesting session that a lot of folks are going to attend as well.
Well, the other part of that is that, I mean, we use it already to help develop training. I mean, a lot of our training materials, not completely, but it's, ChatGPT AI in general, so far, my perspective is that it's good for getting you started and it's good for grunt work. I would not go out and I would not present based solely on what ChatGPT generated, but certainly I would use it to get me started. And certainly I would use it to
get you there.
Yeah.
Definitely get you there. Yeah. So I push out a bunch of content for articles. I use ChatGPT. Or accounting practice. We're using AI to do coding and to minimize accounting work. It's pretty interesting stuff, but I can only imagine on the technical side for you, just the research and just compiling data and whatnot. It's a game changer for sure.
So one of the things I was going to say, if you're listening, you should really go out to it's pestworld2023.org and the schedules there. And I've just been briefly looking it over. It looks like there's sessions if you're a CEO on, efficiency for the business, if in marketing, which it's funny because the chat GPT appears to be it's being one of the thought leaders is actually from marketing. So that's going to be a really interesting session. On the people side, it looks like hiring culture and then hiring military folks. And then on the business development side, I'm seeing sessions about DEI, adding wildlife, those types of things. And then I love this idea of building a brand and legacy, building more of the company. But anyway, really exciting program. I think if you go, you're going to have a great time.
Absolutely. So if you're a small guy, maybe five technicians or less, which sessions would you go to? Or if you're a large guy or a larger guy, several million in revenue, which do you think will be most relevant to you?
Yeah, I think there's probably two sessions that stand out that I think could do a great job of straddling either the small business owner or the large business owner. And one of those is John, you just mentioned this, was the growing your team with military talent session. So this is a session it's another panel. It's a business session that it's going to feature two industry experts that are going to be talking about how they utilize NPMA's Veterans Hiring Program. It's a program focused on how to reach out to and tap the hiring pool of recently retired veterans and bring those folks into your team to join your team. And they're going to be sharing their successes with this program and talk through how they've utilized it from their business perspective. I think whether you're a small business, whether you're a large business, finding the right folks for your team is never going to be a problem that goes away, and it's never going to be something that nobody has that nobody is concerned with anymore. Right? We're always looking for that next best pool of top talent, and I think that it's hard to find a better place to look than our veterans. So it's a really amazing program. I'm really proud of our organization for putting this together and supporting it. I think it's a great one for folks. The other one is, and I know that we've already talked about this a little bit, but that brand culture legacy session, I think it's going to be really unique because the amazing thing about each one of these companies is they were all generational, or they all started very, very small. And essentially what led to their growth and that transcending to that next stage of development was one small unique aspect, challenging maybe the way that, pest management professionals are perceived, or how we look holistically at providing public health service protection, or how we reinvest or invest in our team. It was these small little changes that may be pretty unique to a lot of us, and kind of hearing their perspective on it, I think is going to be really interesting. And again, regardless of the size of your company, I think that those could be really useful sessions to kind of help bring some new tools back, add some tools to the toolbox to share with your team. You guys mentioned tool. We've got an amazing session on DEI, which of course is an incredibly important initiative that I think everybody should be aware of. That session is going to be fantastic as well. I know that we've only got 40 minutes. I'd love to gloat on every single one of these. I told you it's hard to pick any one. We've got some amazing sales sessions on there, and then of course our technical sessions are great. But I think as a business owner, it's going to be tough to go wrong. You're not going to find yourself in a session that I don't think you're going to find useful. But in terms of a couple that I think jump off the page at me, those two for sure.
I have to throw this out because it's freaking hilarious. One of the sessions is called "Let's Kill All the Lawyers."
Oh my gosh. Yeah. If you guys have, he's a fantastic speaker. And it's Shmuel, I think he is. Yeah. So Shmuel Seminowitz, is an incredibly entertaining speaker. This guy's fantastic. I've had the opportunity to see him present before. He's very funny. And he leans into, he is a lawyer, folks, by the way. So when he presents this, he is a lawyer. So he understands the perspective he's bringing to this. And that is by far, I mean, if we're going to award who I anticipate to be the most entertaining speaker on here, yes, he's going to get the room rolling. I promise you that. This guy is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw that one and I just started laughing because even in the description, like, I'm just going to read just one little blurb and then we got to move on. But it's just enjoy an engaging session with a seasoned attorney exploring the most common legal and business themes and killing sacred cows like you've never experienced before. We'll visit such topics as using and losing lawyers, contracts 101, staying out of court, non-competes, and restricted covenants. And deciding who owns it, choosing partners versus going at it yourself, and then of course forums and those. Anyway, it's just hilarious. I think it's going to be
that is good.
If you're a smaller, I think if you're smaller or if you're larger, it's always good to hear. For me, risk management becomes more and more important the more you grow, and something that you have to pay more and more attention to. So, anyway, just a little side note there. Absolutely. That one made me laugh. Yeah. So
yeah. Yeah, you definitely get a flavor for his sense of humor in his description for sure. So
yeah.
So, all right. So besides the PCO, bookkeepers, and M&A specialist booths, where number 605, where we'll have our annual
shameless plug alert,
our annual annual blackjack tournament. By the way, everybody should come. Any other interesting products or services we should look at in the exhibit hall? What other than the big PCO bookkeepers booth? What else would you get?
Well, hang on before you do that. I'm going to have yet one more shameless plug. If you happen to stop by the Workwave booth, or if you happen to stop by the PestWorld booth, because I know they're both going to be there, make sure you let them know that you've heard about them. Even if you've been a customer of them for 20 some years, just let them know that you heard about them on PMP Industry Insiders. Anyway, all right, enough of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's for folks that if this is your first time going to a PestWorld, I mean, I know you guys are both seasoned veterans here, so you've been in that exhibit hall. I mean, just the number 605, that's not a random number. That's the number of booth because of the volume of booths in that location. It's the largest exhibit hall for pest control industry in the world. I mean, it's overwhelming. I mean, it's part of what makes PestWorld so fun. I mean, that is the energy in that exhibit hall is amazing. Personally, one of my favorite things to do on the NPMA staff is to get to kind of walk in there as everyone's building stuff and putting everything together, and then coming in the first day whenever that ribbon's cut and everything is open and seeing the transformation and the amount of work you all put into getting those booths ready, the amount of hours you guys put into being there, and the support you bring to the industry. It's incredible, and hats off to you all for the amount of hard work and effort you guys put into keeping that exhibit hall and that energy up the whole time. It's pretty incredible. I gotta say.
Yeah. By the way, you just come in a day before, and the amount of work that gets done on some of these booths and the amount of people working on it, and it is truly incredible. And yeah, you guys should make a video of just the whole thing going up. It's amazing. It's a city built in a day. That's the best way to describe it. It's a city built in a day. Yeah, time-lapse video of that would be amazing. And all it takes is just putting up a GoPro camera, which I've got a couple of those. So we'll see what we can do this year. That's a great idea. Yeah, because it is.
So I would say as an attendee, for the last few years, I have worn kind of two hats at PestWorld. One as a vendor and one as an attendee, because I have a pest control and a lawn care company as well. But my strategy, first of all, I will tell you, the exhibit hall hours are hours that I don't cut, meaning that when the exhibit hall is open, I will be somewhere in the exhibit hall because there's just so much to take in. Second, I mean, for me, the longer I'm in the industry, the more valuable that exhibit hall gets, because there's where you find what's new. There you find some, everyone has some sort of issue going on with their business. That's where you kind of run into folks who may have a solution. And it's a great time just to talk to other owners, other vendors, just kind of, you can get very, very specific. The second thing is my strategy. Okay. Not telling you have to do the Donnie strategy, but here's my strategy for the exhibit hall. Day one, I'm walking around and I'm totally creeping, right? I'm not talking to anyone. I'm walking around and I'm looking at the booths and I'm looking at what's going on. I'm just basically a lay of the land. The second day, I'm having discussions. So, first day is like, what am I interested in? Like last year they had one, and me and Dan talked about it several times. They had these drones that were going by and doing inspections.
So cool.
Yeah. It's really cool. So, but anyway, so day one is kind of lay of the land. Day two is where I'm going to start stopping and I'm going to start having discussions. And then day three, are almost exclusively meetings. So depending on what I did on day 2, that will turn into meetings on day 3 as to what's going to change out of that. And I mean, I've bought products. I've bought back when bedbug heating was a big deal. I always bought all my bedbug equipment at PestWorld. So a lot of business gets done. Definitely want to spend your time in the exhibit hall. Definitely want to invest the time. And I will give Dan a small shameless plug. It was 605, is that right? His booth, if you want
That's
to play
right.
blackjack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I will tell you, interestingly enough, Donnie, is that on Friday morning the hall is quiet, and we've been doing this for well over 10 years. That is when I have the best conversations with people, because the first day they're eating, drinking, hanging out with their friends, walking around, and as you said, they kind of narrow it down to the people they really want to speak to. And that Friday morning, if you see somebody that you want to really talk to and have a conversation, because it's very difficult the first day or two, because there's so many people and the vendors are trying to spread themselves out. But that Friday morning, if you want to speak to somebody, that's when you speak to them.
So very exciting stuff there, Michael. Anything you want to add before we finish out here? By the way, this has been fantastic. It's got me super excited about PestWorld. Anything else you can think of that we should know about or talk about as far as PestWorld and learning about NPMA? You guys always have a session about, and I think if you've not attended this session in the last probably 2 years, you should, which is what is NPMA doing, or what are my benefits? There's always a session on that, and I'm always amazed. But anything else you want to share about PestWorld or NPMA before we close out here?
Yeah, sure. I've got 2 quick things that I'll share with the listeners. And like you mentioned, we will have an NPMA benefits highlight session that's going to be led by our head of our membership team, Matt Hemmendinger. He does a great job. He's got a really exciting gamification style session that he's going to be leading at PestWorld. It's going to be on Friday afternoon. So be sure to check that out and add that to your schedules. I mentioned that when we pick the location for PestWorld, we want to make sure that we embrace and take advantage of all of the amazing things that location brings to us. And it would be impossible to have PestWorld in Hawaii without taking advantage of the amazing culture that's there, as well as the incredible backdrop and scenery. So you'll notice that a lot of our events and receptions and those sorts of things will certainly highlight those. And one of those events that I want to bring to everyone's attention is the Pest Management Foundation's annual gala event. So this is a special reception that's going to take place on Tuesday evening. And it's a event that's put on every other year by the Pest Management Foundation. And for those that aren't familiar, the Pest Management Foundation is a foundation that's run by NPMA. And the sole purpose of this foundation is to help raise funds that go directly to supporting industry research, as well as educational opportunities and scholarships for folks that are coming into the industry, as well as young graduate students that are in the industry, and then other outreach efforts. So the funds raised from this gala, which is the single most important fundraising event every other year for the foundation, those funds, ticket sales go directly to that. It's going to be amazing. It's a Lux Luau event, theme style event, which when our team told me what that was, I had to Google it. Lux Luau, apparently, according to the Google, is a kind of a fancy but casual luau style event. So it's going to be beautiful. You've got some amazing mountains as a backdrop. It's going to be amazing. So for anyone interested in finding out more about that event specifically, you already mentioned our website is pestworld2023.org. And you can get tickets for that gala at npmafoundation.org. And then the last thing I do want to mention is that speaking of fundraising efforts, we have NPMA has put forth a number of fundraising initiatives that have been launched in the recent weeks to help support relief efforts for Maui on the heels of the tragic wildfires that have recently hit that area. We have a number of really important initiatives. There's a lot of opportunities through additional events and other ways to give back. So if you're looking for opportunities to help support the relief efforts in Maui, or you want to participate in something that is going to be directly implicated in helping to support relief efforts in Maui, please take a look at our website. We've got an entire webpage dedicated to that. And where you can find that is at pestworld2023.org. We've got a whole section called Special Events. And then under that is Support Maui. It's an entire page dedicated to just those relief efforts.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, Michael, this has
Terrific.
been amazing and fantastic. Like I said, it's certainly got me super excited about getting PestWorld 2023. And of course, I'm sure you'll see Dan there playing blackjack and a few other folks. But really great having you on the podcast. I appreciate you taking the time out to come on and just give our listeners kind of an overview of what to expect, as well as some of the cool things that you guys are working on, and alerting me to this crazy meat allergy. I love my meat. So that's definitely, we're not going to go there. So anyway, Dan, anything else before we finish out here?
No, I think that this has been great, and we'll see everybody who's going. We'll see them out there. We've got our PCO Bookkeepers Hawaiian shirts all made, and so we're really looking forward to it, and looking forward to seeing you, Michael, and the rest of the NPMA staff. So,
yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, well, you're very welcome. So, reminder just that all the resources and topics that we talked about, as well as a link to the PestWorld show, will be up on our website, pmpindustryinsider.com. Just take a look under show notes for this episode. And as always, we very much appreciate any positive vibes that you have in the form of reviews or ratings and those types of things. And as I always mentioned, if you do have complaints, concerns, any kind of complaining whatsoever, all those should be directed at Dan. And with that, we'll sign off. We'll see you all next time. Take care.
Take care.